Manever I say ma PENDREAM TV. PENDREAM TV there, osia dem yopo.
You are once again welcome to PENDREAM TV, the only channel that brings you the best and latest updates in politics. If you are new here, please don't forget to subscribe to the channel for us. Hit the notification bell for more updates. Like and also share to other members to watch as well. Can equally leave a comment after watching or send us a voice note to our WhatsApp number. It is 0277-128-777. Thank you. I want you to join me listening to what ELvis Ankrah had to say about the incoming election, that is 7th December of next month, which is said for Brigadier they should forget about him because their eyes are long time on him, and it's not today that they have monitored him, so they have no worries about him. And I want you to join me listening to what is said into detail without much time wasting. Thank you.
Conversation with him, he was gunning to be the General Secretary of the National Democratic Congress. Good morning.
Good morning, Senna. It's good to see you.
Yes, after many months.
Yes.
How have you been?
Yes, actually. A couple of years, almost 2 years. I'm doing very well. I have been great by the grace of God. I've been involved with the Manifesto.
Okay.
And after that, I do some special assignments for the party and the flag bearer.
Okay.
And I've also decided on my own to ensure that we disseminate the manifesto. So mostly I go to the regions, and then when I go to the regions, I engage the local media.
Okay.
Because one of the tragedies of our past administration, before we left office 2016 and even in 2020, is that there were many things that we did that Ghanaians didn't even know about.
Okay.
And even in our 2020 manifesto, when we were writing the 2024 manifesto, I found out that we even had a 24-hour economy proposal in the manifesto. I knew about it, but I was not very conscious of it. So if I, at my level, didn't know about it, then you can imagine. And the manifesto is a big document, and there's so much in it. So you don't expect the ordinary Ghanaian to go and take the book and be reading. So we have a responsibility to find every means possible to disseminate the contents of the manifesto to the various publics so that they will understand the policies and programs that we want to bring to the fore. Then they will be convinced to vote for us based on understanding and conviction, not just on propaganda. It's important because for those who support the NDC, they must understand why they are voting for the NDC. For those who are MPP people but they are not sure of themselves, you must give them a reason to vote for the NDC. For those who are floating voters and who are skeptical about all political parties, you must show them an alternative vision which is practical and doable and achievable. So that's the reason why I'm doing what I'm doing.
Very interesting, because there are two things that come to mind first. First, you've been involved in our election for so long, so I have a question to ask you. The other one that I want to ask before I go there, because this is sort of an outlier in terms of what you just said. Because this yesterday, one of the things that happened was that Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, president, actually commissioned the flower pot interchange. His late claim to sometimes you have to go back and play videos to inform people that these are projects that were initiated by our administration. If your administration had retained power, they would have completed it maybe a bit earlier, among others. How serious an issue do you think when it comes to the extent to which people are informed on what you did between 2009 all the way to 2016?
My brother, I think one of the best ways to solve a problem is to acknowledge. And that has been the Achilles heel of the NDC. Particularly 2016. There was so much that we did, but some way, somehow, it wasn't out there. And another thing that I do is that I do training programs for party people across the country. And when I go and I do a PowerPoint and I show them sector by sector things that we have done, NDC people, they are amazed. They say, oh, so we did all these things and we didn't know about it. So for me, it's a tragedy. We didn't do well. Could have done much better. Let me also say that the current communication team. They are doing a great job. There's been a vast improvement, but we still need to do more. Because still there are people who don't understand a lot of the issues, even the 24-hour economy, and they've been told that they don't understand. And we haven't taken time to break it down to them to their understanding. Because the way it's written is a policy proposal, very technical language. So I like to break it down into very simplistic, using simple analogy that everybody can relate to. And I believe that people are also doing well. There are various teams across the country, so it's improving. But I'm saying that we can do much better. And particularly when God grants us the grace and we win the next election, we must not commit that error again. We must really, really be up and doing, because it's very, very depressing and sad that President John Mahama's leadership did so much, so much that if you really look at it, he had actually 3 years, because the first year we were in courts, yes, and investors were not forthcoming. So in 3 years, he was able to do so much, and so we need to give him the due credit. We haven't given him the due credit that he deserves, and I think that's important that we up our game and do more.
Well, the other aspect is on the issue of because elections. Which one works better in terms of getting someone's votes? Is it what you are promising, or is it the extent to which you can prove that your opponent is not a good enough candidate? Because there are those who feel that that's most of the time works much more effectively.
I think you should do both.
Okay.
You should do both very, very effectively.
Okay.
Very, very, very effectively. You must have a strategy for showing that your opponent has failed, because then people will have a reason to want a change.
Okay.
Now, if you look at the strategy of the MPP, they are doing a lot of gaslighting. They are living in denial. They pretend as if there really are no problems. I was just listening to one of the adverts. Say, hey, Ghana, they say there be factories, health, education. And I'm asking myself, but it's deliberate, because they know that they believe that if they continue to repeat those things, there are many people who will be gullible and they will fall for that. So it's important that you expose based on facts, and I deal with facts. I tell people, I don't have time to. With this interview, 1 hour is not enough. I can sit with you for 4 or 5 hours, and there will be things to talk about, because there's so much. So we need to expose them, because see, they came to power on the basis of promises and pledges that they made. And that was the basis for which Ghanaians gave them the mandate. And so it's important that we remind Ghanaians of those promises and pledges. And if somebody makes promises and pledges and he's not been able to fulfill even 50% of them, by our rating, it's like, over 80% of the promises, and we're going to go through some of them, the things they said they've not been able to do. So if that person comes again and is saying things that maybe, let's say, even at a higher level, that is going to transform the economy, then you ask yourself, you couldn't do the first things that you said you do. Why should we believe you? So that part is important. Then the next part is now to show. So they have failed, and you also show what you did. So we are going to go through all that. And then you show what you are going to do, because now people need hope. The reality is that the country is in a mess. The country is in a quagmire. And so people want to see, what are you coming to do to change the situation? Because it suits the MPP and their propagandists when they say, all politicians are the same. After all, what can we do? No. That suits, that kind of propaganda suits them. So it's important that we differentiate and let people know what we did when we were in office, what the MPP promised and they could not do, and what we are going to do differently. Also acknowledging that there may have been areas where we could have done better when we were in office. But these are the things, after 8 years of reflection, sitting at home and looking at the performance of the MPP, these are the things that we're going to do and show concretely how it's going to be done and how we're going to deliver.
Well, if you just join us, Mr. ELvis Ankrah is in studio with us. And of course, I wanted to find out, when Ayawaso West Wagon happened, were you director of elections?
No.
You had not been made director of elections?
Not yet.
But subsequent to it?
Yes, I was appointed.
Yes, you had cause to comment on it.
Yes.
Many a times.
Oh, yes. In fact, I wrote to the IGP immediately after the several times asking for feedback. And then even after 2020, what happened, I wrote to the IGP The first year asked for feedback, and the General Secretary, then Honorable Johnson Asedu Ketia, also followed up. But since then, we've not had any concrete responses from them. They did a presser and said that they are investigating, but to date, there hasn't been any action. As far as I'm concerned, that statement was just to throw dust into the eyes of the public.
So how do you feel when you hear that the Director of Operations, the guy, the man who sat at national security and supervised all that, is now General Officer, Command, Central Command of the Ghana Armed Forces, and your party is accusing him of perhaps planning a new rigging agenda? How does that feel to you?
No, Colonel OPOKU has been on our radar for a long time.
Okay.
If you recall, something happened in 2020, and I'm sure we have the clips. 2020, we sent our agents to the printing houses.
Okay.
But prior to that, we had intel that they were going to do everything possible to compromise those agents.
Okay.
And the kinds of money that they were talking about were monies that were frightening. They were talking about hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Okay.
And so we had trained them, we were confident in them, but we needed to go extra. And in all those things, his name kept coming up.
Okay.
In fact, he was the de facto supervisor of the printing. So when you go to the printing houses, it's always there.
Oh.
And there was one particular printing house, InnoLink, where he was virtually stationed. And that was a printing house where they printed an extra 1 million ballot papers. Because what happens is that when the printing is done, our agents are there, they supervise, they seal, and it's dispatched. In this particular case, there was a problem with one constituency, so they had to come back. When they came back, they saw that an extra 1 million ballot papers were in a certain room, which the political parties, at least the NDC agents, didn't know about. When the issue was raised, ignorantly, the lady on duty at that time said they were meant for runoff with all the candidates on it, So we raised the alarm and we got those papers bent. Now, he was somebody who was always around those activities, and his name kept coming up. So that was why I take full responsibility, was compelled to then get our agents to swear an oath. If you recall, that video also came, but people don't understand, because it was like, take a risk. You trust them, yes, but they say, well, trust but verify. So I decided that I'll lead. So I took an oath and I said, look, if I go and collect any money from the MPP in this election, let me die and my firstborn die. It's very extreme. But the point is that in a million years, I will not collect money from MPP. So I will not die and my firstborn will not die. And when I did it as a leader, everybody else did it. Of course, a few people vanished that day. They couldn't take the oath. And the oath was in various forms.
Okay.
We had a Christian one. We brought a prophet. Said if you bring only a prophet with a Bible, people go to court, they swear with Bible, and they lie. So we brought a prophet with a sword, very frightening looking sword. And then those who said they were Muslims, we brought a sheikh, and there were some sections of the Quran which the Muslims know are very terrible. If you say it and you lie, you are finished. And then those who said they were traditionalists, we brought a ulama, barefoot, with eggs and schnapp. Of all the videos, people only saw the Christian one and they are crying. They should wait till they see the others. So his name, he has been involved in those things. Now you go back to Ayawaso West Wagon, where it is documented, okay, that he was the one behind it, and he should have been indicted and dealt with. But lo and behold, Nana Akufo-Addo has promoted him. Then from promoting him, then he's now promoted him again to become the commander. So for me, it's not strange at all. And don't forget that a few weeks ago, there was an altercation between Chairman Wontumi. It wasn't even between, it was Chairman Wontumi who was ranting that Kofi Boakye should, be arrested, etc. Because Kofi Boakye told him that all the guns you have brought into the system, we are aware. All the boys you have brought, we are aware. None of those guns will shoot on election day, and none of those boys will come out on election day. And so I want to reiterate that all the things that they have planned, ask yourself, how come that everything they plan, from electoral commission to security services, we are aware? So they should know that it's a different environment altogether, and they are not going to get away with all those things. We just want to draw the attention of Ghanaians and also urge the IGP, because he is the chairman of the Election Security Task Force. So it is his responsibility to ensure that things are done above board. So we're drawing these things to his attention so that he takes the necessary steps.
Great. Well, now let's move to what you said you've been doing, the manifesto.
Yes.
Quite a bulky document when you look at it, with a lot in it. But first, let me start with, you were part of the preparation of the manifesto.
Yes.
How did you?
Thank you for staying tuned. PENDREAM TV really appreciates your time spent on the channel. Please, if you're a new member here, please do not forget to subscribe to the channel. Hit the notification bell for more updates. Like and also share to other members to watch as well. Thank you.
PENDREAM TV. Now, so far so good. Say open online portal e Ghana. Nipa share, nipa follow, nipa comment here. To my best of knowledge, without any biases, PENDREAM TV.